Today is September 8th, 2023. This is episode 228 of Maelstrom Radio.
Maelstrom Radio. With your hosts, fondness and shitter.
And welcome everybody to Maelstrom Radio. My name is Peter. With me as always, my good friend and co-host Quinton. Hey bud, how are you?
Very confused, but otherwise okay.
Mr. Sound was not. Mr. Sound is a union worker.
He gave up on us.
Mm-hmm. So
I couldn't hear anything going on if there was anything.
there was not. Mr. Sound again is a union worker, and we just finished negotiations. So, Mr. Sound, if you are there, please let us know. Are you here, Mr. Sound?
And learn
I
all
don't
the
know,
levels
but-
of magic. You see, it's not just a simple one little thing.
Cameras
There
are
are
dark.
8 different levels of magic. Both
Oh
white
no,
and black.
Mr. Sound, why'd you do that, Mr. Sound?
Everyone can see my lovely bunny, but
Well, everyone look at his bunny. Let's do that. I think we're good.
now no one can see the bunny.
Okay, we got it. By the way, we had to give Mr. Sound a raise, and he needed to bork our cameras. He said he needed to bork them at least once this year. I don't know how much we pay him.
Yep.
What they say. Fool me once, strike one. But fool me twice, strike three.
Welcome to Maelstrom Radio.
Yep. So
Yeah. So how are you? How's everything going?
wow, this started off great. I haven't been up to a whole lot. It's been kind of a busy or odd couple weeks. I don't know why. I just haven't been up to a whole lot lately.
Would you
Yeah.
would you say that, you know, the beginning of the show was, you know,
Such devastation.
Mr. Sound's gonna need a higher raise after this.
This was not my intention.
I set that one up. I deserve that.
you do deserve that. So of course, Mr. Sound needs to work on his comedic timing. Okay, sure, fine. Well, anyway, welcome to Maelstrom Radio. We're a podcast that talks about,
Final Fantasy.
and you know what that means. We're here to talk
No,
about
not really.
not Final Fantasy. So where do you? All right, I want to save the big thing for last. I want to, like, Susan and I went to Chicago, and I know that doesn't seem like it's related to any of this, but it is entirely related to all of this. So maybe we talk about that a little last. So maybe on the front end we do talk about social sites and whatnot. There's a new social site that you can find us on called Blue Sky, which oddly enough I believe is the name of the drug in Breaking Bad. I think that's what they called his meth, was Blue Sky. So
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
what? So thank you to Nobutaka Fairclough for sending us an invite, and I don't know. I kind of just I'm waiting to see how the ship sinks over on Twitter. Like I know you're already off of Twitter. That's fine. We use it to just kind of promote the show to let people know we're going live and whatnot. Blue Sky, I believe, is from the creators of Twitter, like the original creators of Twitter, right? Am I correct about not saying that?
I want to say yes,
So,
but I'm not sure.
It feels very
Not
Twitter.
quite.
Like, does that make sense? Like, it feels like they took all their learnings from Twitter and applied it to Blue Sky so far, and I kind of like that they're like you can only get in with an invite. Like, they're letting people in slowly. I don't. Who knows?
I mean, it has the exact same problems as Twitter.
It really
Right?
does.
It is basically the exact same as Twitter. Like there's no
Yeah.
difference there. People are like, yeah, it's gonna be so much better. Like, no, it's exactly Twitter.
Yeah, it's just Twitter with a different name. Now it's Twitter not owned by Elon Musk, so
I mean, that is an improvement, yes.
huge improvement.
It's
Honestly,
not a Nazi bar yet.
Did you say Nazi bar?
Yep. You never heard the term.
No, I've never heard the term Nazi bar, and I don't even. No, I don't have anything for that.
I hope not. I'm surprised you've never heard that term.
Nazi bar. Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, so it's. I need a better. I need the explanation.
Like anything I could. Chili said he's never heard of it either. Anything Wiktionary.
Yeah, but there's a whole thing behind it. Let me pull it up because
Look this up really quick.
the Wiktionary definition is lacking.
Okay. Well, can I? Okay, go ahead.
I say here's the long form story.
Right.
So this person was at a shitty crust punk bar once getting an after work beer. One of those places where the bartender clearly hates you. So the bartender and they were ignoring each other when someone sits next to me, and he immediately says, "No, get out." Anyways, I asked what that was about, and the bartender was like, "You didn't see his vest, but it was all Nazi shit, iron crosses and stuff. You get to recognize them." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he continues. And then they bring friends, and the friends bring friends, and they stop being cool. And then you realize, oh shit, this is a Nazi bar now. And it's too late because you're entrenched, and if you try to kick them out, they cause a problem. So you have to shut them down. And I was like, oh, damn. And he said, yeah, you have to ignore their reasonable arguments because their end goal is to be terrible, awful people. And then he went back to ignoring me, but I haven't forgotten that at all. Basically, if you don't kick them out immediately, they will eventually slowly infiltrate, and then it's too late. Welcome to Twitter.
Yeah. So when I was, I'm older than you, and the types of punks I hung out with, Nazis didn't last long.
Oh yeah, no, but it's one of those things like you have to get rid of them because if one comes in as being nice, then they all come in, and then you have a problem.
Oh no, we took them out quickly.
Yeah, exactly. You have to take them out immediately.
So.
But Twitter did not, and therefore,
yeah, well,
learn something new today.
I did learn something. You know what?
You are one of the 10,000.
Maelstrom Radio. Learning something new.
Teaching people about Nazi bars.
one person at a time. He taught Chili something. Chili's never heard of it either. Now Chili learned.
Yep.
Two people learned. 2 people have learned.
2 of the 10,000.
All right. So yeah, we're on Blue Sky. It is maelstromradio.bsky.socia SOCIA. I don't know if it's got a word for that.
I don't know what their handles are.
It's weird.
Maelstrom Radio.
At Maelstrom Radio. You'll find us. Type Maelstrom Radio. Just throw Maelstrom Radio in, and you will find us.
Hopefully you'll find us. I don't know.
Yeah, you will find us. You put it in there. You put Google Maelstrom Radio. You will find us. What you find.
Everyone has the same ending there. Yeah.
What you find, I can't guarantee you, but you will find us. So
you'll find something, that's for sure.
So completed the base game main story, Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm. Congrats. That took a little while.
Yeah, a little long. It's okay.
That was kind of self-inflicted.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was. Now, we started Living World Season 1. Much better. Like, hands down, already better.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not going to comment on anything because I have thoughts, but you can't hear those thoughts because
so everything
spoilers.
everything that I've played so far compared to main story was great. Like the sneaking into the thing and the whole mission. And then there was like mining nodes that were secrets and finding like leaflets and stuff like that. Like I loved all of that. That was fantastic. Like here's an example. Final Fantasy 14 quests are like, hey, meet me over here. And then you, all right, like, okay. And so you go to that spot. Like that may be, 30 feet away, or it could be, 3 maps away, whatever. You go to that other spot, and then you talk to them about other stuff that they could have told you in the original spot, part of the quest. But they just needed to tell you in front of the thing, right? Like whatever the thing is. So they just needed, they needed to be like, this is it. You're like, okay.
It's cinematic.
Yeah.
Gaming.
I think
you go from point to point to watch a movie.
And you're like, okay. And then you're like, okay. And then you're like, all right, they'll meet me over here. And then you go over like another 20 feet. And you go, stoic nod. And you go to the other 20 feet. And then you're like, all right, so really what we're here for is this. So you're like, damn it. So that's it. And you're asking me like, well, is there what's the quest? That's the quest. like Final Fantasy 14 has stepped, like once you're getting through the base game and like maybe Heavensward, it kind of stopped being about like normal MMO questing and more about like meet me over here so we could talk about things. And you're like, okay, dokie. And then you unlock a dungeon eventually. That's the thing. And then you unlock a big fight, and then that's the thing. And then you get more story, and then you end it with, hey, please take a break because you're gonna get a hella story. Hella. You're like, oh boy, all right.
So Susan did make a good point though. In Unblocker, they did change it. You no longer have to walk to the place; you walk with them.
Yeah, that's right. And then you got to stop in places and talk about like, oh, it's a coffee shop.
Yeah, exactly.
You do window shopping.
Honestly, that was the best content.
Well, yeah. Especially the broken parts of the elephants and people were floating in the sky. Like I liked when it was broke. They fixed it, but when it was first broken, it was fun. So Guild Wars 2 took a different approach. Their question was,
they did like, I don't know if you've noticed this yet because you've only done the first episode of Living World Season 1. They decided to change their narrative structure.
Yeah.
So you don't have those big interrupting cinematic, here's your two characters looking at each other and then having the eyes all go all over the place weirdly. But then, yeah, you just now have to sit and talk to them and listen to them go on for a spiel for a very long time, which is kind of annoying because you can't skip it. But hey, they just changed that up a little bit.
They did, and I really enjoyed what I played. Like I legitimately had fun playing that quest line. I don't know if I'm done with it, but I because I think we stopped like right before we were tired. So I
it was
really
like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. when you started. I had already gone to bed at that point.
So yeah, we stopped
when you finished.
When we finished. Yeah. So but really enjoyed what we had played. I enjoyed what we had played. Susan and I played.
Frostbite is good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was like a lot of fun. Like it was really well thought out. It felt they figured out how to make it feel cinematic but also engaging. Which is fair. Again, I'm not saying what Final Fantasy 14 does is bad. But I feel like they kind of
they're different games.
They're different games.
Final Fantasy is a movie made into an MMO.
Yeah. Guild Wars 2 is an MMO that wants to be a movie.
No, they don't do a whole lot of cinematic stuff unless it's for.
But they build
major reveal.
Yes, but for what I played, it felt very like Dirty Dozen, like war escape kind of like.
That's more storytelling than. Movie.
Yeah, but they did it in a very cinematic way. Like it felt like I was going through an adventure. Yeah, because it felt like, I don't know. Have you? Well, have you ever seen like kind of like breakout movies where people like sneak in to break people out of things, like action kind of like movie. It kind of felt like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And it felt like I was very engaged with that because I was like, yeah, like I felt like at the end there could have been a motorcycle escape scene.
It's different though. I get what you're saying. I think I get what you're saying. Okay, it is different though. Like Final Fantasy is you go and you watch a movie, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting story, but you're watching it unfold in front of you. Sometimes you get to play through the dungeons now and then, but mostly you're watching the exposition.
Yes.
In Guild Wars 2, that's not the case. You are not watching a movie. You are the character in the movie.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like
You
Final
get to
Fantasy
do the
4
things, and all that exposition happens as you go through.
Yep. Which I enjoy, and I feel like that's they. I don't know if they're doing it right the whole way through like that. I know, like you kind of mentioned, like they're kind of learning as they go through.
So Living World Season 1 was completely redone, right? There was a lot of the content that wasn't possible to do because it was never designed to be played multiple times. It was designed to be like one and done. That's how Living World Seasons used to work. Kind of like the whole EverQuest Next thing. You would do this whole season. It would have a whole bunch of wide-ranging effects, and the world would be permanently changed after.
Yep.
That happened, actually. If you look back through parts of the world, there are things that happened in Living World Season 1 that changed the land, that it's no longer the same. Lion's Arch is probably the biggest example of that.
It got wet.
Got a little wet.
Got a little moist.
But with that being said, like, and this was back in 2012, back when they first launched it. It wasn't meant to be replayed. So as they went through Living World Season 2 and onward, they realized, yeah, that's not going to work. This is way too much work. It's not going to be very good. So we're just going to make everything like replayable. So it's going forward, it's a lot more replayable. But they never had Season 1, which missed a huge amount of story. Like you can watch a little cinematic to try to get it all, but it's a lot of story that you miss. A lot of fun little pieces of information. But so what they did starting, I can't remember if it was 2021, 2022. The last couple of years, they decided they were going to go back and remake it. So they actually went back, found all of the old files that they thought they had gotten rid of, redid Old Lion's Arch, all of that sort of stuff, and brought back all of the key points throughout all of it, and made those into what you see now.
Right on.
Some of it is kind of like reused in bits, like the but like it's not the same as what it was when it came out. A lot of it was more like your open world events. So you haven't gotten it to it yet, but the fourth app, I'm not going to give any spoilers in terms of content, but in terms of what to expect, the fourth episode has a massive public dungeon.
That's
which
okay.
You can imagine when it was first launched, like everyone would be out there because it's a massive open. It's not quite open world, but it's a public dungeon. Okay. So you have lots of groups going through, lots of things happening. It's very active, which you can't really translate now back to like instanced content as much. So yes, there is still that public dungeon there, but it is in a different format a little bit.
Okay.
Not quite as engaging, but still a lot of fun to go through. I really enjoy that part. It's annoying. Okay. Similarly, like the fifth episode is like the climax, of course, of everything. It's the final episode, and a lot of stuff around the whole Lion's Arch thing, because of course that happened in the first season. And if you're not familiar with what happened, I'm not going to say anymore. But there was some things that happened with Lion's Arch. Anyways, some of the events that happened around that actually were happening in the live city at that point. But the live city is no longer there because it's been since replaced for reasons. And so that they couldn't exactly bring that back. So what they did is they tuned it in such a way that they could still bring similar content based on how they built the game, but without the like not in the open world anymore, right? So there is instead of having the city be actually like in the world and you'd go to that city and do all the stuff, like there's an instance that is that city in that scenario, and that's how you have to kind of to go through it all.
Yeah, because
So-
I remember when the game launched, Lion's Arch being very different.
Oh yeah, well
And-
you would have seen it. Oh, you would have seen it in your like as you played through the 1 to 80 story,
yeah,
the old Lion's Arch.
the old one.
And then as you go through this season, you'll also see a lot of the old Lion's Arch because that's how it looked. They actually made it. They kept it looking the original way for the cutscenes.
Yeah, really. It throws me off because I remember some of the areas. I'm like, oh yeah, there's that stuff over there, and like this is where I remember doing this. And strange little game. Strange little game.
And then
Also,
there's Pirate Cave.
yeah, there too. I speaking, it's what I like a public dungeon because that's Elder Scrolls Online has them, and I enjoy it. So. To answer Susan's question, so the Lion's Arch we see now isn't actually how it's in the story and timeline. That's that in the story timeline that we're at now. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you pay attention to some of the cutscenes that you have, or some of the times when you have to visit Lion's Arch for story, when you look around and see that, you'll see a very different environment. And one of the main things that you will see, especially because a lot of the cutscenes or a lot of the dialogue and stuff happens at it, you'll see the giant statue in the middle of a fountain in the middle of the city, which is where you usually talk, and that is a giant lion. Which makes sense because this is Lion's Arch. If you come and look at the new Lion's Arch, it doesn't make any sense. There are no lions.
There's a giant lobster.
It's all sea-root related. There's the giant lobster. There's the octopus, the starfish.
Yeah,
The giant conch.
Yeah, well, Clam Arch didn't have the same ring.
You give people a chance to name these things, and 100% you know that something will come up.
like Clam Arch.
I'm sure they can come up with a better name.
Clunk Arch.
Ultrazone, it sounds like you're talking about yours one, how the land and everything was beautiful for one time. It became some dirt or something like that. There is, so I'm not familiar with Guild Wars 1 story, unfortunately, but there is a good amount of tie-in if you did play Guild Wars 1, especially when you get to some of the later expansions, from what I've been told. Because I was talking to someone and they were telling me about Guild Wars 1 and they hadn't done any of the story yet in Guild Wars 2. And as they were telling me all of this stuff, for anyone familiar, it was the stuff around Alona and when Cormier was fighting Abaddon and all the gods and whatnot, the human gods, they were all fighting Abaddon. And then he died and she had to take on his power effectively, and she became a god. But that was a long time ago. I think it was something like 500 years ago. So a lot has changed since then, but you do get bits and pieces of that story. And like at this point, you're learning about, I was learning about all of this through history. And then this person just comes in and is like, oh yeah, this all happened. I played through it. We need to find the Anonymous of Guild Wars 2 and pick their brain. Yeah, there is some interesting things. And that's the one thing I like about MMO sequels. Because EverQuest did this as well, where in EverQuest 2, they had a lot of references back to EverQuest 1, even though there was a time gap between the two of them.
How many? Well, no. 14 didn't do that.
14 is not a sequel.
It's not a sequel.
Yeah.
What other MMO sequel? Well, RuneScape 2 and 3.
Phantasy Star Online?
They're sequels, but no.
Lineage, but I don't know the story of that.
That's true. Lineage. I think Lineage does carry over.
I think Ion also had a second, didn't they?
It did. It didn't fare well.
No.
Didn't fare well. I think that's it.
Yeah,
I mean,
14 kind of did with a 1.0 and 2.0. That's fair.
Did it? Did
1.0 characters existed? They had their whole story and everything. And
yeah.
then...
I'm sorry. 14 1.0. I'm sorry. I thought.
Yeah.
My brain took that. It was like 11 and 14 didn't do that. talking about?
Planet Side.
Oh, yeah, no,
I don't know
Planet Side did.
anything about Planet Side 1. I only know Planet Side 2, but that
No,
one
Planet
kinda...
Side did because the war had because Planet Side 1 had only 2 factions, and
Okay.
then Planet Side 2 ended
Poor
up
idea.
having then Planet Side 2 ended up having 3 factions, and I think in the lore of the game, like one of the, like they had the 2 original factions, and they had this third faction that was like, no, science. And then
Bill
the
Nye
other
faction.
and the other 2 were like, well, what are you gonna do? Fight us with science? They're like, yes. Bill.
Could you imagine if Sony actually had a good marketing department and had that tie-in?
Oh my god, that would have been so fantastic.
That's like that right era too. It would have captured all of the
Oh my
millennials.
god, like
Right in the
all of them,
late
Even-
teens, early 20s.
like a big like Bill Nye mech suit with a bow tie, and all you hear over the distance is like Bill Nye. You're like, what is that? And all of a sudden,
It's the mount music.
It's the Bill Nye the Science Guy mech suit coming through. Make it happen, internet. Starfield just came out. Mod that in. Chili
All
asked,
right.
he was on Big Bang Theory, right? Sure.
Could not tell you.
Why not? Probably. Couldn't, there was a guy that sat in the couch, I think, and wanted to specifically sit in a specific area.
Bill Nye the Science Guy is real chilly. Yeah, that's true. We do have to specify that. Like, he is a real person.
He is.
It is also like it is a personality on TV.
He is a personality.
Like it is a real person.
But I don't think he's actually a scientist, though.
I don't believe so.
I think he's just a.
He has a degree
guy.
in something though.
I think he is
mechanical engineer.
He okay. So he is a science guy.
Yeah. But different science. Like he does science across. Yeah, he like science communicators is also what it says, but like he does more about the communication and bringing.
That's what you'd use.
Making that science accessible to everyone.
The science communicator.
Bill.
Yeah, you gotta say Bill. You gotta say that to the communicator and it summons the suit.
Oh. Yeah.
Just whisper sweet nothing. Whisper sweet bills into my ear and I'll form a mech suit. Well, speaking of Guild Wars 2, not so much Bill Nye, unless maybe you're doing Bill Nye the Science Guy stuff in Guild Wars. What are you doing? Like, what have you been doing in Guild Wars 2? Are you still doing World vs. World?
Surprisingly, science not as much of a strong focus right now.
Okay.
In the Guild Wars 2 story, for reasons that probably will make sense when you get to that point in the story. But as far as like what have I been up to in Guild Wars 2, I've been doing a little bit more PvE stuff. I've been trying to get back into that. I kind of went heavy into World vs. World for a number of months, and I'm still doing that, just a lot lighter than what I was doing before. I still really enjoy it. It's fun. I like playing with people. I am not great at it. I like to run with the big groups because I can support them and not have to die myself.
Never underestimate the power of an angry mob.
Pretty much, yeah. Like the group that I run with is really solid. They are very good. I like playing with them. But I have been stuck on a support role for a number of months now. So I've started to, last time that I went in a couple days ago, I pulled out a Nuclei Warrior actually, and got him leveled up for Berserker and geared him out. So now I have a class that can do a good amount of damage and is one of our main damage dealing classes, but I haven't to the level of being able to do those big damage pieces, despite I have everything set up identical to like my character is almost a carbon copy of other characters. in terms of gear specs, all that sort of stuff. But is doing like a small fraction of what they do. So there's some learning involved. A lot of it too is I've switched to a new keyboard recently, and it has very different placement of buttons. So I am readjusting. I changed all my hotkeys and I have to readjust and figure out what all those buttons do, which is
Did you make your own keyboard? Or did you buy a keyboard?
no, this is the keyboard that I made.
Okay.
I have half of it. The other half looks the same, but it's on the other side. So yeah, it's a little bit of an adjustment, especially because I've moved where keys are, and I don't like that muscle memory that you build up over years is gone. And yeah, it's a bit of a learning curve. I do not do very well. I die very fast now. So it's challenging, but I'll get there eventually. I did find that there are parts of this keyboard that I am not a huge fan of. And there are things that I think would help improve it.
Okay. So there's going to be a keyboard 2 in the future.
So I might have already ordered another keyboard that I can then use for gaming and
Okay.
take this one and use it for work.
Got it. Okay.
Because I have noted, like,
you're not building a
Right.
keyboard 2 then.
I mean, I would love to build another keyboard. It was really fun. I enjoyed doing it. I have all the stuff to do it now. But the things that I want to do, or the things that I want in it right now, especially for gaming, I don't know if there's any open source boards out there for it, or kits that I could buy for it. So the Quinton soldering stream, I do not feel confident enough in my soldering in order to stream it. It also takes a really long time and is very boring.
You're like,
Like putting this together, like putting this keyboard together, like, probably took me, I don't know, like 6 hours. And perfect.
right, just play it lo-fi and don't say anything.
That's true. Yeah, just have it no music stream.
Just like
People
lo-fi,
love watching it. That's true.
like lo-fi,
could judge
no
me.
talking. Like every once in a while, you just like type something in chat. Hope you're enjoying yourselves, everybody. Stay hydrated.
You're listening to Maelstrom Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all been put away for now.
Solder and songs. Saturday on Saturdays.
Saturday soldering and
Solder
songs.
Yeah. Triple S. Like Triple D, except there's less Guy Fieri and burgers.
I-
I mean, there could be a burger. I
All
don't know.
right. No, I don't have any burgers currently.
Or like a fried mac and cheese ball. What did he eat in that shit? He felt like anyway. Let's
Wow, we went off on a tangent there. So back to our what we were originally talking about. How are you enjoying the story? We haven't gotten to the trip to Chicago yet, Susan.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there. I will everything will be laid out. Don't worry. I really enjoy Guild Wars 2. Like I think early like launch Guild Wars 2 I didn't like. I
told
tried
you
it's
rough.
And then having gone what I do enjoy, I know other MMOs do it. Elder Scrolls Online does it, so it's not like something that I'm not used to with. You know, once you're max level, you're good. Like you just gotta get like Elder Scrolls may like most people are good. Like once you armor, you may like there may be some like different armor sets that do different things in Elder Scrolls. So you may want to like have multiple sets for different like situations or whatever. Like, but not like a Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft where you're just like, you know, the treadmill. There's no treadmill. Yeah, so there's definitely no treadmill in Guild Wars 2. So I enjoy that part where I'm like, all right, I have gear, I have my characters fully leveled. Like all I have to do is just play the game. Like I can go at any point myself in any direction. If I want to go do the story, I'll do the story. But I mean, almost right. I know, like, but I could like even in the main world, there's so much to do in that main world.
Oh yeah.
That you could throw yourself in any direction and there's something to do.
Yep.
And
I mean, I'm still finding things about places that I've been to for over a decade, and it surprises me. Like, oh, hey, I had no idea this was here.
Yeah, they hide things really well in that game. Like, really well.
That's why the daily system is really helpful, because it'll be like, hey, go do this mini dungeon, and you have to go figure out where that is. And then you go do it. You're like, oh, hey, cool.
And you start to realize that games like Guild Wars 2 and Elder Scrolls Online are special in the way they develop their MMO. Almost similar in some aspects. Like Guild Wars 2, I know like Elder Scrolls has the big mega server, right? And there's
Mhm.
and
And with
there's
Guild Wars 2.
and the same Guild Wars 2, same thing. And then like I know, but Guild Wars has its world versus world PvP, where Elder Scrolls has faction versus faction, 3 massive factions going at it, but similar.
Yeah.
There's sieges, or the map is a whole
Slightly
area.
different in that, like, ESO has it in the world itself, whereas
It's in the world,
Guild Wars
yeah.
2, it's a separate place.
Yeah. But it's cool. Like I do like that there's differences, but there's similarities in both. One of the biggest things that in Elder Scrolls, like if you I think do the most damage, I forget how it works, but like you could become king of, like that's kind of cool that you could be crowned
Right.
king, which is kind of neat.
Yep.
And you get the title king, you get a crown. So it strikes me that I think, as you and I have talked about MMOs, like why like some MMOs like make that conscious decision to not do this, because it makes sense. Like it just kind of just makes sense.
Well,
It's a little old school in thought, right? It's a little old school in like I don't want to say old school. I shouldn't say that.
it's design differences.
It is a design difference. I think the gear thing is a little old school in concept. Like they probably took that from like EverQuest type times, where like gear kind of was more less treadmilly and more like, hey, you can get a piece and then kind of hold on to it and can
Gear lasted a long time, but EverQuest, and especially EverQuest 2, were gear treadmills still. There were certain things within EverQuest 1, at least, that lasted a good amount of time.
I was gonna say like the epic
but it wasn't
weapons.
Everything, right?
It wasn't everything.
Yeah.
I know Final Fantasy, and Chili could probably talk more about this.
Yeah,
but
Final Fantasy 11
had that, where it's like, oh, you have this belt. Well, this belt is gonna last you 87 levels. You're like, all right, cool. I'm like, great, thanks, belt. So, Chili says in chat, talking old MMO, they announced DC Universe Online getting Xbox Series X native and PS5 native versions. Great, because honestly, that's from the company that owns Daybreak Games, which is owned EverQuest 1 and 2. So, perfect timing. Defending Ring at 75 is still the best in slot at 99.
Yeah, and that's, you're not quite at the best gear you have right now. Like, aside from wanting to change stats, and not like the level of gear you're at is called exotic. It is second best stats, but you can get ascended, which is higher. But the difference there is slightly, it's about 5 to 10% depending on the piece of gear, of an improvement in your stats. But the exotic stuff is locked to that character now, whereas the ascended can be shared across your account.
I like that. Also,
so you can move it around.
Did I understand? Maybe I read this wrong. The ascended gear, the stats can be changed freely on the. Am I correct about that?
Free.
Ish.
Can they be done freely? Not like you can change them at will. It does cost.
Okay. Well, okay. That like that. Well, freely in the sense of like it's gonna cost you, but.
Well, I do have to make that differentiation, because there's ascended gear and then there's the legendary gear. Okay. And legendary gear has the same stats as ascended gear, but you can freely change the stats just by right-clicking and choosing them.
Okay. Is there
all
right, well.
And the difference with it too is the legendary gear can be used by all characters at the same time.
All right, fair.
And all so you could have different, like you have different build templates, right? You can, or not equipment templates, sorry. You could have multiple templates with the exact same items with different runes in them or different stats chosen for them, without having to actually buy all of those different sets of armor.
Got it. Okay. Understood. So
that's
like if there
was towards it.
So if I in my head, like if there were specific boss fights in this game that called for different boons or actions or whatever,
You could just swap it at a button.
I could just swap it at a button and then be set for that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
With
All right.
it, like you can still do that with Ascended Armor, but you have to have 2 physical sets to do it. Right?
I don't like that as much.
Yeah. Yeah, it costs more and it's harder. Like when you put the set into your gear, your equipment tab, it sits there. It doesn't sit in your inventory like a lot of other games, so that's good. It'll just be like you click the button and suddenly you're on the other gear set. That's how I have a bunch of gear sets for my characters,
Okay.
without it taking up room in my bank or my bags.
It's like glamour, but useful.
Not quite like glamour. It'd be like, I don't know. It's kind of like Final Fantasy 14,
Okay.
right? When you equip all your stuff, it doesn't go into your, or it goes into your armory.
Okay.
Right. The difference here is that instead of an armory with all of your stuff, and it's like a separate inventory for all of that stuff, it's just you have all the gear on that slot as effectively like that's the armory.
Yeah. Okay. That makes
So you
sense.
can't put in 30 chest pieces. You can only put in 1 chest piece per build. But
No, I want 30 chess. Chili also says Raja's ring is usable at 99 too, and it's a level 30 story reward. I also would like to let people know out there that I'm best in slot at 99. So.
you got a long ways to go though.
Wink. You wanna know what I did in Chicago?
I want to know what Poe had.
Okay. So
What did Poe watch in your hotel room?
okay,
Because you took Poe with you.
Yeah, so it was Susan and I went to Chicago. So if you didn't know, the lovely and talented Jesse Cox was here on our show, and he, what he does for a living is this, and not what we do, but gets paid to do. And so him and his longtime friend Krendor, he. Yeah, I didn't see you guys here. Sorry he missed us. Him and his longtime friend Krendor started a they were playing games together. Mostly I noticed it when they were playing Saints Row 2 together. They would just talk and play the game, and a lot of the talking was really funny, so they decided to do a podcast called Cox and Krendor in the morning. Because it and it just they wanted to do like the whole like wacky zoo radio morning thing. It didn't like the transition of the show is not morning zoo. It's just like them talking, kind of like what we did. We kind of are chatting through like normal things. Then then they have a shtick after that. They go through sports, the weather, then they pick the new a fun fact, and then like the news story of the day. And usually it's Florida Man. So that's usually where they land, is something Florida Man. Or Monkey Mondays. I found out there's a lot of bars out there that do Monkey Mondays. So just, head on a swivel out there. You can go into a bar and there's a monkey involved. So we wanted to go see them live. Tickets were on sale. They usually go out fast. It was one of the first times they were doing a show on a Saturday pretty early so that they can hang out afterwards and meet people and talk to them. So Susan and I drove up to Chicago. We packed the car. We got a crate that's a travel crate, and we put Poe in the travel crate. And Poe did well for 3 hours up to Chicago. And the first place we got was called is it called the Lazy Dog Restaurant? I want to say it's called Lazy Dog Restaurant. So we got to Chicago, went to this restaurant called Lazy Dog Restaurant. Delicious. It's a chain restaurant. Like, listen, it sounds crazy. I worked at chain restaurants. Most of the time, the food is like, like it's food, right? It's like, it's not bad.
Right. Yeah.
It's like
consistent.
It's consistent. When I say
Hopefully.
consistent, I'm thinking like Olive Garden, right? like
yeah, exactly. Like
you're gonna get a tour of Italy, and you're probably gonna be like, this is an okay time. Lazy Dog Restaurant surpasses. Like, you could have told me that was a locally owned restaurant, I'd be like, damn, they're kicking it over there. They are so good. Like, okay, so we got like a smattering of like small plates and appetizers, and then like one entree, right? And like, the entree was kind of like it was like a bulgogi bowl with, or no, I'm sorry, bibimbap with it was like with ribeye and had a fried egg on top. The best fried egg I've ever seen at a chain restaurant ever. Like the fried egg was so, it had like the lacy crispy edge on the egg and the goo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! And the ribeye was so tender, so good. Like truly delicious. Like I had their in-house made pink lemonade. It was probably the best pink lemonade I've ever had. Like it was, it was only like I was shocked because I was like, how's this 35? Like it was like 50 or 35 calories. Like, which is shocking because like usually if you get lemonade, it's
all sugar.
Yeah. But this was like tangy and there's like a light sweetness. And then Susan got a agua fresca drink that was really good. And so we just had like this delightful like meal, and like we had like we got the deviled eggs with the candied bacon, which was delicious, and
Where'd to go wrong there?
I got hush puppies. The coating on the hush puppies is so crispy. Like so crispy that like I think a little shard like nicked the roof of my mouth. I was like, dang, that's like it shattered. It was so, I'm like, damn. The best part, one of the reasons, so the driving force of going to this restaurant is that you could get, their whole thing is that they love pets, like they love dogs.
Right.
I shouldn't say
Raise
pets.
dog.
They hate cats, but they love dogs. No, I'm kidding. I mean, maybe they like cats. I don't know. But they encourage you to bring your dog. They have a really nice patio area. They bring a bowl out of water for your dog to drink. They have easy accessible doors, so like you can just like roll out of the patio pretty quickly over to the grass. So if your dog's like, oh, I'm getting a little antsy, or there's too many people, like you can just get out. There's like they're like hella doors are in this patio area. Like there's no way that you can't. Like there's always the best fire escape patio area I've ever seen. Like you can get out of there pretty.
I mean, they have to have a pretty big patio, right?
So it's I wouldn't say it's like
they're doing
large.
dogs.
Yeah, it's large. I wouldn't say it's like fair. I'm sure there's bigger ones that they have.
Oh, yeah.
But Poe was great. And then the big thing is that they sell food for dogs. You can get like a nice bowl for it. So we got Poe a hamburger bowl with brown rice and peas in it. And Poe, of course, went for it and just ate all the beef. Left all the vegetables and rice. So I had to go in and take a little bit of my ribeye, take a little piece of my ribeye, then like put it in there. And then he started eating something. Once I mixed it in and started like rub the ribeye juice on the rice, he was like, started going at it. And then but still didn't eat it all. And I was like, so I was like, all right, well, so we got a chicken lettuce wrap. So I took a little bit of the chicken and then, cause it was crumbled, and I crumbled a couple pieces in there and really stirred around the rice. And then Poe pretty much destroyed almost the entire bowl, left like a small amount. So proud of him. So he did good. He was like, everybody was like, you know, like, oh, he's so cute. I was like, and he's quiet. Like Poe doesn't make a noise. Like Poe doesn't bark. Poe doesn't like, maybe he'll be interested in sniffing another dog. That's pretty much it. Poe's very like, Poe's got social anxiety and, so like other dogs are interested in Poe and probably will bark at Poe, but Poe doesn't care. Like, so Poe's like the best behaved dog there. And I'm not trying to like say my dog's better than everybody else's dog. I'm just saying like Poe is just a quiet dog. Poe's favorite thing to do is to nap and be at home and be quiet. That's all Poe wants to do, which honestly, mood. So,
if you had that as an option, someone would feed you every day. Like,
yeah, not a terrible life, honestly.
No.
So
Sign me up.
We did that. Poe had a great time. We got to the hotel. It was we had to go to a parking garage and then walk to the hotel. It was they had no on-site parking, so we had to go there and walk, which is fine. It was close. But we had Poe. The room was alright. Like it was. We found a hotel that took dogs. Like that. That alone is a challenge. We wish the room was bigger. It was very small. Like I mean, we were only staying there for one night. Like if it was like a 2-night stay, we probably would have been bummed out. But for a 1-night stay, I was like, well, you know, we're not spending a whole lot of time in the room. Poe was fine. So we got ready for the show. We put Poe in the crate, and we didn't want Poe to feel nervous because he's in a different spot, but he's in the crate, which is fine. So we were like, all right, well, let's put on something. And Susan puts on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives for Poe and puts up the volume just in case he makes any noise.
No.
But really, we didn't think he was, and he did not. So the whole time we were out, Poe was watching, which I'm sure he was enjoying. I'm sure every once in a while he like looked up and saw a burger. He was like, yeah. So, which is fine. Yeah, I want that. And you forget, and then I think when we got there, I was kind of watching. I was like, kind of, this show's kind of slaps sometimes. Like he's kind of showing you restaurants you kind of want to go to, because he's not going to chain restaurant. He's going to like local mom and pop places. You're like, I kind of want to go there. So you're like, all right, well maybe Guy Fieri isn't so terrible. So then we get Poe comfortable, game dinner. We leave. We go to I forget the name of the bar that we had to go to. I apologize, Susan. If you remember the name of it, please put it in chat. I know, and it was a hella marathon on DDD too. Like Triple D, hella marathon. Like it was going on before we left. It was going on when we got back later in the day. It was late when we got in, so it was like it was still hella the Bottom Lounge. Thank you. So we went to the Bottom Lounge. It was kind of like a punk bar. Like hardcore, like you two things. You would see, punk there. You would see hardcore shows there. That's what you would see at the Bottom Lounge, right? And maybe they have like an weird open mic night where they let people on stage and do things. Or they let two chuckleheads from the internet do their podcasts on stage. So we got there, we sat down. And the show was going, and it was great. It was like because we had to catch an Uber, and like Ubers in Chicago are I had to get my car changed 4 times before we got picked up.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So like at first I was like, oh, we'll get there in no time. Then it was like, oh well, all right, we'll get there.
Yeah.
It was a cool spot for sure. It was a great spot for shows. It was like a perfect spot for this kind of show. So we get there, we see the show, hilarious. You could hear, there's parts of it where you could probably hear me yelling in the background during the show. The show is live now. You can go listen to that episode live in Chicago. I think there's at one point where I yell at Arby's, and Jesse Cox recognizes that as a thing. So if you want to, that was me. I was the Arby's yeller. So if you want to know who that was, it was me. And then we get to Q&A. Unfortunately, Q&A did not make it to the show. Now there could be a Patreon version of the show where the Q&A made it on there. So if you listen to that, you will hear my question, or really more of a suggestion for Cox and Crendor to watch Mountain Monsters. By the way, my guilty pleasure show, please go watch if you have HBO Max, if you have Max or whatever the hell it's called now, go watch Mountain Monsters. Service. Yeah, go watch Mountain Monsters. Go delight. I will come back to Mountain Monsters, but go delight yourself in probably one of the greatest reality TV shows I've ever seen, ever. Like, I don't even care if you believe in cryptids or not. Like, I don't like half the things these guys are doing, I don't believe in. The best part of the show is there's something so charming about these all these men from Appalachia, like Appalachian, like hillmen. Right, they're all like trappers from Appalachia, in the Appalachian area. They're just all like, you kind of want them to win, like you kind of want them to find something, like, and I looked it up. They're really like, they're truly from that area. But do I believe the show is fake? Yes. Do I believe that they think it's real? Yes. Now here's the thing. I think they think it's real. I think the producers.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
no.
I think there's an outside force that these men aren't aware of. Right? I hope that makes sense. And if not,
it's the producers.
But also it's the Appalachian Mountains. Weird stuff is going on up there. Like, America's a very big place. Yep. America's a very weird place. It's very big. There's in the howls of the hollers. Stay out of the Appalachian Mountains. That place is spooky. So, just saying, if something was going to go bump in the night, it would happen up there. There's 2 places in America I think you stay out of. Pacific Northwest, stay out of the woods. Appalachian Mountains, stay out of the mountains. Those are the 2 places weird shit happens. Do not go to those places. All right?
That's fair, yep.
I'm not saying weird shit doesn't happen anywhere else, but don't go there. If you can handle spook, go there. Go say hi. I don't know. You might get into fight with what was, I don't know, like Pigman, I don't know. Ohio, what was it? Ohio Bearcat or something? I don't know. There was some weird stuff. There's always a thing. Anyway, I told them about the show. It's wild. They kind of want to watch it. Like I told them about like Trapper, who doesn't make the traps, and Willie, who does make the traps, and the whole spiel. And I thank them for, and I tell Jesse thank you, in person for, doing our show. And he's like, yeah. So, and that's it. So after the show, Susan and I are having a couple beers at the bar, and we're waiting for them to hopefully, because they kind of said, hey, we'll be out. They finally come out. We make rounds, and Susan goes up. We go up to them, and Susan and I are like, hi. And then like, I was like, thank you again. And then Susan was like, do you remember Maelstrom Radio? Do you remember who we are? And do you want to hear the clip?
I feel like we're going to listen to the clip.
I have a clip. We recorded something live. Now, we asked, and they recorded, like it was recorded. We got permission. This wasn't like we secretly recorded it something. Like we weren't doing a dastardly deed. Like we did ask permission. So we did get something recorded. Here is it now. If you're ready, I have it loaded, so we should be able to hear it, right?
Okay. I think we're recording.
Hey, Internet.
Wait, does it work?
Hey there, everybody. It's Jesse Cox. We are at a live show right now, and I'm hanging out with the Maelstrom Radio. And all you need to know is you should be listening. You should be watching. You should be enjoying.
But do you remember who we are?
I don't know anything about these people. I met them for the first time tonight. I've never seen them before in my life. I don't know who they are. I don't remember Family Feud. I don't remember. In fact, their faces are honestly jarring because I'm more used to Lalafels than I am humans at this point. And frankly, I should be back in game. I don't know what I'm doing here right now in public, but I will say it's an absolute pleasure to hang out with some talented individuals from the community, and I thank them so much for being here. And I hope that if you're listening to this right now, you remember that twitch.tv/JesseCox.
You want to give a plug too?
YouTube.com/Crendor, Twitch TV Crendor, YouTube.com/Cox and Crendor Podcast.
Thank you.
There we go.
So,
gotta get that promo in.
So yes, Jesse does remember us, and wholeheartedly he does. He does remember us, and the sincerity of who we. Well, I believe he does. It's hard to forget. It's still not 100%. I think it is. There were some mumblings prior to that, right before Susan got out there, that was not recorded. So I think we're like 93% of the play there, and honestly, I'm good enough for the 93%. If anything, he told people that they should listen to us. So
and him
and Crendor. Which I'll take, honestly. Why not all three? Just listen to all three. Listen to both our shows. One of them might be better.
One definitely has a better production quality.
Well, they have more expensive equipment.
Exactly.
So, I think they also pay people to do that. Anyway.
Have income.
Fair. What they do is tax deductible. Anyway, a write-off. Anyway, then Susan and I had a couple more drinks, and we went back to the hotel. At the bottom of the hotel, there was an English pub called Elephant and Castle, which was very, very delightful. They had flights of English pies. I got the flight because I was very hungry at that point from drinking, and then. And then
pies.
Pies. Yeah, pies are good.
Savory pies.
Yeah, they were savory. They were also because you could have gotten just one of each of the you could have just got a pie, but then I got like the little flight of pies, and they were it was so good. Pie flight. And then I got poutine, also delicious, so good. Like the cheese squeak, it was very good. Then at the end, I got an old fashioned there too. I'm not gonna lie, I kept drinking. So I got an old fashioned, which was very good. They made a hell of an old fashioned there. And then it was, at that point, 90 night. And the guy almost talked me into their bread pudding. He was like, "We make an excellent bread pudding, sir." I was like, "I would like to try that, but I also need to go to bread." So I need to work.
Yes,
I need to wake up at a reasonable time. So, but also bread pudding. I almost said, "Can you put it in a box? I'll take it upstairs and eat it and shave in my hotel room next to my dog." So I almost said that. I didn't say
breakfast.
That, but yeah. Well, speaking of breakfast, the next day, and this is more of a tip for anybody that visits Chicago, which is a lovely place. Go to Chicago; it's actually very nice.
Yeah.
Some parts aren't great, but just like anywhere else, it's America. No? Some parts, America.
Yep.
Some parts aren't great. Hell, that's a hell of a tagline, honestly. Welcome to America. Some parts aren't great.
Chicago is the windy city, yes, Joey.
Yeah, Chicago is the windy city. There's a bean there.
Got the bean.
It was lightly windy when we were there. There was a wind. Also because there's a very large Great Lake next to, like, right off Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Very big Great Lake. It's almost like, it looks like an ocean. It's scary. It's scary how big that lake is. Like,
Lake. It's a lake.
It's frightening. Like, I know it's a Great Lake. Like, I know it's there. It's a body of water. It is terrifying. When you see seagulls inland,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a little scary. Little scary.
I grew up around them. They don't.
I know, but I'm from.
Michigan's a small one.
I'm from a coastal area. When
Yeah.
seagulls go inland, they usually if they're going inland for two reasons. Rather, they're going out to sea to die, or they're going inland to die. Something's not right.
Oh no! Like around all of the lakes, there's seagulls.
Which is great.
It's not restricted to the oceans.
It's massive though. The whole thing, I know it's small, but it's like on a map looking down.
Guys.
Yeah, not looking down. You're like, yeah, it's not that big. When you're there, it's like, this is a hell of a lake. This is big.
Oh, if you're used to lakes,
Mm-hmm.
it is well beyond anything you could think of.
I'm
They're Great Lakes for a reason.
Listen, I'm a person that thinks like anything that big, whatever's at the bottom is probably not good. Whatever is at the bottom of that lake probably
It's trash.
It's probably trash, and there's probably a giant fish down there. It's gonna kill me. So there's probably
survive the trash.
Well, you never know. Sturgeons are crazy fish. They're like, oh, this
That
thing
is true. Yeah.
Have you? Like, what was that? River monsters. That guy. I mean, that guy had to end the show. He caught them all. Caught all the river monsters. He was like, I had nothing else to do. Got to end the show.
You won't stay away from the Great Lakes, though.
I would love to see a revival of that show, and he just fished all the Great Lakes for river monsters. That would be great. Anyway,
Just dive to the very bottom.
So if you're in Chicago, please go check out a place called the Spinning J. It is a kind of like a Susan put it in chat. Thank you, Susan. I would say it's kind of like a bespoke bakery coffee house sort of situation.
Okay.
Very delicious. They make they're kind of like their thing that like Susan and I like to get is they make in-house. Everything's made in-house there, but they're known for their stratas and their quiches.
Mm-hmm.
And those flavors change up every week.
Breakfast pies.
Yeah, breakfast pies. And breakfast savory French toasts, I guess the strata is. So and it's made with their own in-house sourdough that they make. It's very good. It was so good. It hit the spot. They make their own sourdough cinnamon rolls. They had blueberry scones. They had chewy lemon strata. Yeah, strata. Susan says
Savory bread pudding.
Savory bread pudding. Yeah, it's very good. And all of it was vegetarian. Like the strata and the quiche were vegetarian. Very again delicious. Like worth your time waiting in line there. I waited in line, picked up at the side door. We went to the park up the road. We ate in the car. It was great. Delicious. And then on the way past it, we passed by a place called Eat at Diane's. I was like, what is that? Like, then Susan Googled it, and it was a Puerto Rican restaurant. Diana's.
All right.
And they had Cuban sandwiches. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, Peter, you just ate a delicious strata. Yep, I'm like, yep. And but did I get
Cuban sandwich?
Yeah, but did I get fried plantains and a Cuban sandwich? You bet your ass I did. But Susan bought a plant. So really We didn't intend to go get a Cuban sandwich and a $30, what was it? Susan, I want to say pothos. Am I right? Did I get your plant right? I did.
Yep.
Like I take interest in Susan's hobbies. Aw. I do. I like, I know it seems silly. Like I give Susan crap about the plants. But just like in a joking way.
I mean, you can give her. I make fun of her plants all of the time.
She makes
Still
fun of
nice
me
to
all the
hear
time.
about them.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry, she gives me crap all the time for doing everything I do. And El Chorzon F, yeah, you did. Cuban sandwich are so damn good. I know, I'm half Cuban. It's the sandwich of my people. So we got a road sandwich, and we hit the road from there.
It was a good
actually,
sandwich, though?
Oh, it was so good. It was the
Okay.
best because we got hit traffic at all the tolls, and it is the best. Chili, it's the best sandwich. It is. If you're eating, like, I'm not saying there's a lot of great sandwiches in the world. Tons of great sandwiches. Cuban sandwich. Maybe I'm biased, but it's
You are.
It's probably the perfect sandwich. It's so good. So good. It's got everything. There's butter, it's flatbread, it's crispy, it's hot.
It doesn't have everything.
It's
It
got
just has
roasted
meat
pork.
and carbs.
It's got cheese on it. It's got pickle, it's mustard, it's tangy. It's got everything. It's so good. What's a good Listen, I know there's
That's it.
like,
That's it. That's all it has.
so good. Also, we stopped at a donut place on the way out. There's one last stop because there was a bespoke donut place.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing like farm to table, like natural ingredient, like all organic donuts. So you're like, all right, you got to stop there, right? Got to go there.
Yep.
Also, we didn't have coffee, so I had to go get coffee too. So that was the best place to stop to get both those things. So you bet your ass I got a mango tagine donut. Right? Delicious. Like tangy, sweet, and everything. With a little kick of lime for the tagine. Delicious. Probably one of the most interesting donuts I've ever had. Very good. They also had a peach crumble, like a peach pie donut. And so these were all 3 road. I got 3 road donuts, and then it was like a blackberry lavender donut.
Okay.
All 3 delicious. Those were not eaten on the road. We did not eat all this food on the road. The Cuban sandwich, yes, that was
Yeah.
that
Gotta
was
eat that
a
fresh.
that was a road sandwich. But the donuts were though we did have the coffee. We did have the mango tagine one first, just before we headed out of there. Because everything we had like seemed like a lot of food, but really it was like the strata. Susan and I had like a couple, like it wasn't a lot. It was just we just, like so we didn't leave Chicago right away in the morning. We had like stops all over the damn city. Then we left Chicago, which is sort of an ordeal. Yeah, we ate, but so Susan's right. TLDR, we ate a lot in Chicago, but everything was a banger. Like nothing.
That's how you travel.
Yeah, it's Chicago. All we ate was bangers, not like a sausage, but all we ate, like nothing was bad, which was surprising. Like normally it's like okay, like the chain. We thought maybe like the chain restaurant was good. Like everything was in that chain restaurant. I'm telling you, if that place is close, I know we talked about it on the show before, but if that place is close enough, I kid you not, at least one of my weeks of meals would be their frozen TV dinners, just because like for $50 you get 5 frozen dinners. For $100 that you're like, you don't have to worry about dinner for like a week. That's pretty solid. Like it's pretty solid. Yeah, Diana's alone was amazing. Yeah, I would do it too. You can. It's based out of your area. You can just go there. If anything, you have more access than I do. So you could easily do that and go get frozen meals and be set for. And then a lot of those frozen meals are pretty big. From what I heard, like you could easily make it like a 2-meal situation. And it comes with like a little baked. It's just like a old school TV night. It comes with like a nice baked in dessert and everything. Oh,
but I'm getting better than those TV dinners.
Yeah. Yes. You like go look at the menu. You'll be surprised. Am I going to post the thing? Oh, so yes, there's a photo I have of me with Jesse Cox and Crendor. I'm assuming that's what Susan's talking about. I will post that. I didn't want to post it until we did the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, there is a photo of the three of us. So, if I had to rate Chicago and the whole experience and the show and meeting Jesse in person and Crendor in person, 10 out of 10. Both of them really nice, very funny. Love. So, and for some background, I've been watching Jesse Cox way before he was known as Jesse Cox, when he was OMFG Cata, back when he was doing Cataclysm content on YouTube. So I've been watching him for years. And like, him and I seem to have like the same sense of humor and like thought process about like things. We mesh well, like we have a lot of the same, like, so like we both think we're handsome fat guys. So we got that going for us. Lovely time. Would do it again. But also, Quinton, if you ever want to go to Chicago, please, by all means, we'll gladly.
I was going to ask when are you planning to move there now?
I would love to move. We drove through a really nice neighborhood, and like Susan were like, "Oh, this neighborhood is really nice. It's very expensive." At least the neighborhood we drove through. I'm assuming all of Chicago is expensive, but the neighborhood we drove, it wasn't even like city. It was like suburb.
Yeah, you'd have to be pretty outside of the main city.
It was really nice. I mean, we were out of the city there, and it was really nice, and it was still expensive. I think Chicago's, but it was really nice. So I was like, it's close, and it was like really close to that like Lazy Dog restaurant. I was like, hell yeah, Poe, we can go get food. 10 out of 10. But plus, Chicago is like just a cool place. I still want to go to the art museum there. There's like a bunch of stuff in Chicago I'd love to go do that I haven't done yet. Like I saw I saw Hamilton there with Susan. We went for the Near Automata live concert, which was delightful. We've gone to Chicago for many things, but I don't think I've gone to Chicago to do like touristy stuff. Only time I think I did that when I went to go visit my dad up in Chicago. He was up there visiting my stepsister, and we went to the Bean. We went to the boardwalk over by the lake. We went, and we did go to the Mega Starbucks. By all means, Quinton, if we end up going to Chicago, if like you end up coming out to the Midwest and we go to Chicago, if that's where we want to meet, I would love
places to go meet.
I would love to take you to that Mega Starbucks. Like, I know it's Starbucks, but that is an experience. That place is a thing that you need to go see and experience, because it is wild. That is a treat. Like, they are doing some crazy things on those floors. Some wild stuff, like coffee beans roasted in like whiskey barrels. Like, that is wild. It was so delicious, and they had again, like, we didn't do it this time, but man. Also, I guess you can go to Italy too if you really want to see what Italy looks like. Yeah. If you want to get more coffee, I guess, or me, I want to get this like they had this Italian like beard. The New York one is bad. Yeah, but I could still get the Italian beard oil. Yeah, that smelled delightful. Like, it smelled like someone plucked an Italian like citrus and just put it on my face. Yep. So, what I'm saying is that I want someone to rub Italian citrus on my face. And that was Chicago. And
got the show title.
So yeah. And so that was Chicago. So we kind of learned that 93% Jesse Cox remembers. I really think he does remember us. Let's just put it. But 93% of the way he does remember us. And had a lovely time, and it was nice just to get away for a day and take Poe places. I left out some other things. I mean, if you ever want to hear the story about like the cool gas station I walked into, different.
Have a whole episode on that one. Maybe
that's just a Discord thing I do one day. I'll just regale people in a fun, like, I went to a cool gas station that sold sausages. You'll have to hear about it. I anyway.
Patreon only content.
It might be. Do you want to hear about my gas station sausage experience? Patreon only.
It goes so many ways.
Anyway, thank you for joining us on this episode of Maelstrom Radio. Thank you for joining us for two things: one, MMO talk, and two, Chicago Jaunt, which sort of like Final Fantasy 14, I guess. Sorta. So thank you for listening. And as always, till sea swallows all. Keep listening.